Hello everyone. First of all, beta, happy Dhanteras to all of you. Hope you are enjoying the festival season to the fullest extent. Okay. So we have started chapter number 2 in the previous session. I think we have covered cost of quality concept. Okay. So I have given you an assignment in the last session. We have done the complete basic of question number 3rd. Also, we have calculated the first requirement part data that to fail 28,000 units, how many units are required to be produced so that we can sold out 80,000 units. For all the basic calculation we have done related to question number 3, just you have to solve that particular question which I have given you the assignment in the last session. Any doubt, beta, in this particular question number 3rd before proceeding further? Let's clear those doubts first, and then we will proceed towards the next question of this particular topic, cost of quality. Soham, good evening, beta. Rashmi, good evening. Dhara, good evening. Any doubt, beta? In question number 3rd, how many students has completed question number 3rd? First of all, because doubt will arise only when you have completed that particular question. How many students have completed question number 3rd? And in case there is any doubt in question number 3rd, you can ask it, beta. %, scrap to be calculated in actual or proposal. I think, beta, Dhara, you are talking about the raw material, I think. Okay, so I have already told you in the last session basic, whatever amount is given on per unit basis, that is the actual consumption. That is the actual consumption. So in the first scenario, 40,000 unit has to be produced. So that 40,000 units has to be multiplied by rupee 35. Has to be multiplied by rupee 35 to get the actual consumption. And now whatever we are purchasing, suppose 100 kg we are purchasing, out of that 10 kg were scrapped at the production stage. So how much consumption are there related to raw material? 90 ratio. So 40,000 unit in the first part multiply by rupee 35, that is equivalent to 19 ratio. When you multiply this calculation by 10 ratio, you will get the raw material scrap amount. Okay, Dhara? Any other doubt, beta, in that particular question number 3rd? It's a super question. I have repeated multiple times that this question must be considered by you in each and every revision, even in last day before examination. The such question has to be seen in minimum 5 minutes because it's require a lot of skill, lot of calculation are there, and there are every chances that a student can commit mistake if he or she doesn't revise before appearing for examination. Sayyid, good evening, beta. Chali. So, ab badhte beta. I think there is no further doubt in question number 3rd. So, let's move further to some other question. I will follow one more question in this topic, and the remaining rest are very simple question. I will give it on assignment, Diwali vacations. Okay. So when we meet, I think on 27th, we will discuss if there is any doubt in the remaining simple question. But question number 6 is also a very good question. Take this question is to be done in each and every revision. Question number 6. So first of all, we will start from the requirement part. Since the requirement part is very lengthy, so it's always better, beta, if there are multiple requirement part and the requirement part are itself a type of question in this, because the requirement part, I think, is in roughly half page. So better to read out requirement part 1 only, and then we will read out question number 6. And then when we complete requirement part number 1, then we will read out requirement part number 2, because reading just now will not give you any benefit since the requirement part are too lengthy. Okay, so let's start the requirement part. Requirement part. Analyze the cost of poor quality per annum due to supply of defective items to the customer. Before proceeding towards the requirement part, let's first highlight the meaning of analyze. Okay, so what do you mean by analyze? I already shared the PDF. Also, this PDF is available in the ICI knowledge portal. So what do you mean by analyze? Let's first discuss that one and then we will proceed. This is the meaning of analyze. Please listen very carefully. Beta, what do you mean by analyze? This is a very common word in almost 50% of the practical questions which we are having in our syllabus. This word appears most commonly, analyze word. Taking apart information or data to discover relationship, causes, patterns, and connection. This is about a series of detailed explanation. This is about a series of detailed explanation. So in simplest form, analysis means calculation plus explanation. In a more simple language, analysis means you have to do the calculation and then you have to explain that calculation. And if there is any relationship, causes, pattern, you have to highlight that through a detailed discussion. Okay, so it's the calculation plus explanation together make up the meaning of the word analyze. So in the first requirement part, not only we have to do the calculation part, but calculation part should be supported by detailed explanation, not explanation, detailed explanation. So then the meaning of the word analyze will complete. Okay, can you tell me, beta, from the requirement part, it is clear that it is cost of poor quality. It means cost of quality concept is applicable. No need to identify the concept. Okay, it is clearly given. Can you tell me in requirement part number 1, which of the 4 quality costs will appear? Prevention cost, appraisal cost, internal failure, external failure, any one or a combination of 2. Once again, I am repeating my question. Read out requirement part 1 once again and then communicate as per requirement part number 1, which of the cost will appear? Prevention cost, analysis, appraisal cost, internal failure, external failure, or a combination of 2. Please, beta, I am giving you the time. Okay, as per Avija, it's internal failure and external failure both. Okay, beta. Let's wait for other student to revert, then I will communicate you the final answer. Other students, Sayyad, Dhara, Rashmi, Soham, what's your answer? Okay, as per Jishnu, Dhara, Bhavin, it's external failure. While there are 3 students, Avija, Rashmi, and Sayyad, they have communicated a combination of internal and external failure. There is 100% clarity in the requirement part, beta. Let's read out the item once again. Now, the cost of poor quality per annum, if only this language is given, analyze the cost of poor quality. The cost of poor quality means cost of non-conformance. Agreed? Okay. Then we have to calculate internal failure as well as external failure, because cost of poor quality means cost of non-conformance, and cost of non-conformance consists of internal and external failure. But what have been written in further? Cost of poor quality per annum due to supply of defective items to the customer. You have to calculate only and only that cost of poor quality which occurs due to supply of defective items to the customer. And if we have to calculate only supply of defective item to the customer, then definitely we have to calculate only and only the external failure cost. There is no calculation involved in requirement part number 1 related to internal failure, because we have to calculate cost of poor quality due to supply of defective item to the customer. Clear with my point? Sure. Now let's read out the question. It's a very small question. Cool Air Private Limited. First of all, we are making newspaper reading. Then we will go for detailed reading. Cool Air Private Limited manufacture electronic components for car. Car manufacturers are the primary customer of this product. Raw material component are bought, assembled, and the electronic car component are sold to the customer. We are making newspaper reading, beta, na? Interpretation reading will follow that. The market demand for this component is 5 lakh units per annum. Cool Air, that is our company, has a market share of 1 lakh units per annum, 20% market share for its product. Below are some of the details. Selling price is given, raw material is given, assembly and machine cost is given, delivery cost is given, and this is contribution. The customer, due to defect in the product, return 5,000 units each year. They are replaced free of charge by the company. The replaced components cannot be repaired and do not have any scrap value. If this defective had not been supplied, that is, had the sale return due to defective units become nil, customer perception about the quality of the product would improve. This would yield 10% increase in market share for Cool Limited. That is, demand for its product could increase to 1,50,000 units per annum. Okay. Now let's read out the question in detail. The name of the company is Cool Air Private Limited. We are manufacturing electronic component for car. So the car manufacturer are our primary customers. Raw material are purchased from the market. They are assembled, and then the electronic components are sold to the customer. So basically, the first para tells about the name of the company and what product they are manufacturing. Okay. Market demand for this component is 5 lakh units per annum. Market demand. Market means industry demand. Okay. Market demand means industry demand is 5 lakh units per annum. While our company has a market share of 1 lakh units per annum, that is 20% market share. You can convert this point. 1 lakh divided by 5 lakh, you will get the same percentage, that is 20% market share. Right now we are having. So our market share is 1 lakh per annum, that is 20% market share. Below are some of the details relating to the product: selling price, raw material, assembly and machine cost, delivery cost, and then contribution is given. Okay, beta? Now, there are 3 costs given: raw material, assembly and machine, and delivery cost. I want to ask a question. Whether all these 3 costs are variable costs or a mix of variable and fixed cost. My question is, raw material, assembly and machine cost, and delivery cost are the variable cost, or they are a combination of variable and fixed cost in this particular question? I am waiting for your answers. You can write the abbreviation, na? Variable cost VC, so that we can save the time better. And for total cost, if you think it's a total cost mix of variable and fixed cost, you can write TC. So we can save over time. Okay, majority of the student have communicated me that it's a variable cost, and yes, beta, it's a variable cost. There is no doubt about that, because when you deduct 2,500, when you deduct all this cost from rupee 2,500, you will get 1000. And 1000 is regarded not as profit, but 1000 rupees regarded as contribution. And sale minus variable cost, sale minus variable cost is equal to contribution. Had the word instead of contribution, the profit word is given, then definitely this three costs will be a combination of variable and fixed cost. Okay, but right now, since the remaining resulting figure is designated as contribution, all the cost above is a variable cost. Okay, chलिए बढ़ते आगे. The customer, due to defect in the product, return 5,000 units each year. The customer, due to defects in the product, return 5,000 units each year. Can you tell me the invoiced unit and the delivered unit? Beta, we have seen this basic in question number 3rd. What are the quantity of invoiced unit and what are the quantity of delivered units? It's very simple. No calculator is needed. You can orally make the calculation. What are the invoiced unit and the delivered units? Okay, Jishnu, very good, beta. The answer is correct. It's 1 lakh units invoiced unit because the market demand, market share is 1 lakh, while the delivered unit is 1,05,000. While the delivered unit is 1,05,000. Okay. So tell me, beta, which percentage is correct? I can say external failure is 5% of invoiced units. It's combination number 1 or second point. Just a minute. It's 5,000 divided by 1,05,000. 4.76. Which one is correct? If I want to express this in percentage terms, whether the combination 1 is correct, external failure is 5% of invoiced unit, or option number 2 is correct, 4.76 of units delivered. Which is the logical one? Please communicate fast, beta. I am waiting for your answer. Whether the correct one is 5% of invoiced unit or 4.76 of unit delivered, which is the logical one? Okay, Chandan Kumar, Bhavin, Apala, beta, both are logical one. There is nothing about logical and illogical. The first one is logical because I have taken 5,000 divided by 1 lakh unit. 5,000 divided by 1 lakh unit. So it's 5% of invoice unit. Second one is also logical. You will get the same answer. Instead of invoice unit, I have taken the denominator as delivered unit. 5,000 divided by 1,05,000 into 100. I'm getting the percentage of 4.76. If as simple as 25 profit is 25% on cost. Alternatively, we can express it profit is 20% on sale. Both are logical, both will give the same answer. In this particular question, you have not been given the external failure in percentage term. You have been given the data in amount terms. Okay, so you have the choice to calculate the percentage whether in terms of invoiced unit or in terms of units delivered. क्लियर है बेटा ये वाला पॉइंट आपको? बढ़े आगे चलिए. These defective units are to be returned free of cost to the customer. Definitely, if it is under the warranty period, you cannot charge anything to the customer. The replaced component cannot be repaired and do not have any scrap value. It means whenever they are returned from the customer, they have no refillable value. If this defective component has not been supplied, that is, had the sale returned due to defective units being nil, अगर हमारा defective units नहीं होता, then what will happen? Customer perception about the quality of the product would improve. Had there been no sales return, customer perception about the quality of our company Cool Air Limited will improve, and this will result in 10% increase in market share for our company. That is, in a total market of 5 lakh unit, we can sold 1,50,000 unit. That is 5 lakh multiplied by 30%. 5 lakh multiplied by 30%. क्लियर है बेटा? चलिए अब इस क्वेश्चन को अपन सॉल्व करते हैं. तो सबसे पहले रिक्वायरमेंट पार्ट आपको क्लियर है. इन रिक्वायरमेंट पार्ट नंबर 1 वी हैव जस्ट टू कैलकुलेट द एक्सटर्नल फेल्यूर कॉस्ट. देयर इज नो रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ इंटरनल फेल्यूर कॉस्ट, और हम इंटरनल फेल्यूर यहां पे कैलकुलेट भी नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि कहीं भी वी आर नॉट गिवन एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन फॉर इंटरनल फेल्यूर. ओके, सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कैन यू टेल मी, we have seen this basic on question number 3 in last session, whether the loss, complete loss is there because the replacement unit has no salvage value, whether the loss is of 1400 rupee or whether the loss is of 1500 rupee for this 5000 units, and give me the logic whether when we calculate the loss on this 5000 unit due to external failure, whether 5000 units will be multiplied by rupees 1400, that is consisting of raw material and assembly and machine cost, or it will consist delivery cost also, that is the loss will be rupees 1500. Tell me better. Okay, Chandan Kumar has answered rupees 1500. Soham, Jishnu, Rashmi, Apala, Bhavin, Aniket, Harshad, what your answer, beta? Whether the loss is of 1400 rupee or 1500 rupee per unit. Okay, Dhara Shah have answered 1500 because product have reached customer, that is external failure for delivery cost. Okay, Sayyid 1500. Okay, very good beta. Since all of the students have given the correct answer and the logic also. Well done beta, well done. Keep it up. So the loss is of 5000 multiplied by 1500. So can you tell me the final amount of external failure? Many of the students are thinking that the final amount is external failure cost is equal to 5000 units multiplied by 1500 rupee is equal to rupees 75 lakh. Although this is one of the component of external failure, but one additional cost is also there in external failure cost. Can you please identify that additional cost and the amount of it? I require both. What is one additional external failure cost and what is the amount of those additional failure cost, external failure cost. External failure cost is rupees 75 lakh. It is not the complete answer. External failure is much more than rupees 75 lakh. Identify that additional cost along with its amount. Waiting beta for your answer. Yes, Soham. Yes, Avija beta. The correct answer, loss of sale. We have considered this in basic point. Due to external failure, customer dissatisfaction increases. And if there is a customer dissatisfaction, that customer will not buy, make repeated purchase of your product. Also, it will prevent its relatives or friends not to buy the brand of your product since it has quality issues. So definitely there will be loss of contribution in case of external failure. And question has given that had there been no external failure, our sale will increase from 1 lakh unit to 1,50,000 units. So additionally, we could have earned 50 contribution on 50,000 units. What is the amount of contribution? Contribution is rupee 1,000 per unit. Multiply by 50,000 will give you 500 lakhs, that is 5 crore rupee. So there is one more additional external failure cost in the name of opportunity cost. Now in the name of opportunity cost. Clear है बेटा? तो देखिए यहाँ पे और कौन सा अमाउंट आएगा, प्लस यहाँ पे हमें opportunity cost भी ऐड करना पड़ेगा. It's very simple. 50,000 unit we can additionally sold, multiply by rupee 1,000. That is the contribution per unit. So the total external failure cost will be 5.75 crore. In other words, 575 lakhs. Clear, beta? Chill. Any doubt in this particular requirement part number 1? Can we proceed towards the requirement part number 2? Now the real test will start from requirement part number 2 and 3, a superb requirement part, undoubtedly. Any doubt beta in requirement part number 1? Can we move towards requirement part number 2 and 3? Okay, no doubt. चलिए बेटा बढ़ते हैं अपन आगे. आइए requirement part number 2 में. First of all, tell me beta, whether there is any relation between requirement part number 1 and requirement part number 2. Similarly, requirement part number 3 have any relation with requirement part number 2 and 1. What your view about that? Without reading, whether there is there should be a correlation between different requirement part of the question, or each requirement part should be treated as an independent question. That is no relation with the other requirement part. What's your view beta in this? Always remember beta, unless otherwise stated, there should not be any correlation among the requirement part. Each and every requirement part should be treated as an independent one. When you are following requirement part number 2, you don't have to refer requirement part number 1. When you are following requirement part number 3, you don't have to refer any portion of requirement part number 1 and 2. Not in this question, in the complete syllabus, requirement part will have no correlation whatsoever among them, unless otherwise stated. Just as in requirement part number 4, you can check, it is clearly given. It is clearly given in terms of profitability, in terms of long-term business strategy, inspection at the end of the process and raw material. यहाँ पे हमें लिंक दिया हुआ है, because second requirement part is inspection at the end of the process, third requirement part is inspection at the raw material procurement stage. Then we will link requirement part number 2nd and 3rd with requirement part number 4, because it is clearly mentioned. But unless otherwise stated, there is no correlation whatsoever among the requirement part. Each and every requirement part should be treated independently. Okay. Now read out requirement part number 2. I am giving you time, beta. 2 minutes I am giving you time. Read out requirement part number 2. and tell me what will be the impact. I don't want the numerical answer, just I want the interpretation answer. Head, what will be the impact of inspection at the end of the process? What will be the impact of inspection at the end of the process? Don't answer me. It will have nil self written. It is given. Whatever is not written in those requirement part, I require that type of interpretation. If I inspect my product at the end of the process, what will be the impact? I don't want the numerical calculation, just I want the interpretation answer. 2 minutes are available with you. Market share will increase. Okay, beta, that is a deemed one. Okay. Any other point, Aniket? Because that is already given in the question, but a market share will increase. So that is not called an interpretation. What will happen? What will be the interpretation when we introduce the inspection process at the end so that the faulty units delivery would be nil? No, beta, I have not got the correct answer yet. Aniket, Harshad, Chandan, Rashmi. Please think beyond the question, beta. Definitely. I'm repeating once and again, beta. That has been given that market share will increase. That's not the basic point, beta. That we cannot call the interpretation because that is given in the question. What is not given in the question, that you have to interpret. No, Aniket, beta, it is given in the question that number of no return of defective product. It is clearly mentioned in the requirement part. It will not be called as interpretation. Dhara, Sayyid, Jishnu, Soham, Apala, Veera, Murli. What's your view, beta? Rajamani, contribution and profit will increase. Okay, beta. Any other point, Rajamani? Failure cost will go down because of preventive cost. No. नो बेटा, चलिए देखिए, बहुत ही अच्छा पॉइंट है ये, बहुत ही अच्छा पॉइंट है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, लेट्स रीड आउट रिक्वायरमेंट पार्ट नंबर 2 once again. The company management is considering a proposal to implement an inspection process immediately before delivery of product to the customer. Whether, ask yourself a question, whether inspection process would prevent the defect, yes or no? Mark my word, whether inspection process can prevent the defect from occurring? No. Inspection process you are implementing just before delivery of the product to the customer. So what will be the scenario? Now, before this process, you are not making any inspection, no testing, you are directly delivering to the product to the consumer once they are manufactured. So had there been any defect, such defect are being identified by the customer. But after this process, before delivery to the customer, you have introduced an inspection process. It means whatever defect the customers are identifying on their own, now the same defect will be identified by your production or by your inspection department in one line. What will be the impact of inspection process? Your external failure cost will be converted into internal failure cause. Your external failure will be converted into internal failure. देखिए बेटा कैसे? I will show you it with a diagram. It's before inspection process. Please write down beta this point along with me. This is very, very important. So before inspection process, what is the situation? It's production department. It's finished goods warehouse. And it's sale to customer. Please draw this diagram. It's very important for conceptual clarity. Production department produces the goods, sent to the finished goods warehouse, and then it is sold to the customer. Please write down. Once the goods are produced, they are directly sent to finished goods warehouse. They are directly sent to finished goods warehouse and then sold to customer. And then sold to customer. Without any inspection on our own. Full stop. Next line. Had there been any defect, comma, the same will be identified by the customer. The same will be identified by the customer. Now drop one or two lines and then write down after inspection process, what will be the scenario? The production department is there. The finished goods warehouse is there. Sale to customer is there. But an inspection process is being introduced. So if the manufactured goods have some defect, the same will be identified by our inspection department before they are being sold to the final consumer. So always remember, beta, inspection, auditing or testing of finished goods doesn't prevent the defect. Only the detection will be there. Earlier, the detection was done by the customer once it is sold. Now the detection will be done by our own team, by our own inspection department. So the external failure unit will now be converted into internal failure units. Please write down, beta. Now all the failure units Now all the failure units will be identified. Now all the failure units will be identified by our own inspection department. So let's stop. Next line, red pen से लिखिए बेटा, अगर if you are having the red pen, please write down. Inspection of finished goods. Inspection of finished goods doesn't prevent the defect. Prevent को underline कर दीजिएगा या inverted comma में. Doesn't prevent the defect. Comma. It simply converts external failure. It simply converts external failure into internal failure. It simply converts external failure into internal failure. So external failure से internal failure में convert होगा. ठीक है बेटा. तो सबसे पहले आप मुझे दो बेनिफिट बताएं. What are the benefit 1 and what is the benefit number 2? What is benefit number 1 and what is benefit number 2? Then I will add one more question to this particular point. External failure, internal failure में convert हुआ. Tell me benefit number 1. I don't want the numerical answer. Just I want the logic. What will be the benefit number 1? What will be the benefit number 2? You can interchange benefit 1 or 2, but I require two benefits. When external failure will be converted to internal failure. Giving you time of beta 2 to 3 minutes. Please think about this. This is a very important point. I don't want to communicate straight away without giving you the time, because it will amount to spoon feeding. And definitely, my dear student, it will not work in the examination, because you have to face the examination. You must cultivate the habit of thinking such point. What will be the impact of external converting into internal? Although your answer might be wrong, but that doesn't matter. What matter is you are thinking about the same, and that process will definitely provide you the confidence to face the examination. Avija, Sayed, and Dharasha. Okay, beta, they have given me the answer. What about other students' view? What are the two benefits that will be applicable in this case? Okay, Rajamani, Bhaveen. Rajamani and Bhaveen and Dharasha, beta, you have given only one benefit. I have asked you two benefits. What are the two benefits that will be applicable when external failure converted into internal failure? Okay, beta. The first benefit that will accrue is, ये तो कंफर्म है ना बेटा, फेल्यूर होगा. पहले वो फेल्यूर एक्सटर्नल के नाम से होता था, अब वो फेल्यूर इंटरनल के नाम से होगा. बट वन थिंग इज कंफर्म, देयर इज नो रिडक्शन इन फेल्यूर यूनिट्स. देयर इज नो रिडक्शन इन फेल्यूर यूनिट. बस चेंज ये हुआ, पहले उसका नाम एक्सटर्नल फेल्यूर हुआ करता था. अब चूंकि हमने इंस्पेक्शन प्रोसेस डिजाइन कर लिया बिफोर डिलीवरी, नाउ इट इज कन्वर्टेड इनटू इंटरनल फेल्यूर. बट वन थिंग इज श्योर, देयर हैज टू बी फेल्यूर, बिकॉज यहां पे हम प्रिवेंशन कॉस्ट इंकर नहीं कर रहे हैं. थ्रू इंस्पेक्शन वी आर इंकरिंग ओनली द अप्रेजल कॉस्ट that help us to identify the defect before they are being delivered to the final consumer. So जो पहला benefit होगा, that is benefit on saving of delivery cost, saving of delivery cost. कितनी यूनिट हमारी एक्सटर्नल फेल्योर में होती थी? 5000. ठीक है, पहले उस पे कितने रुपए लगते थे? 1500 रुपी, 900 रुपी, 500 रुपी प्लस 100 रुपी ऑफ डिलीवरी कॉस्ट. नाउ व्हेन एक्सटर्नल फेल्योर कन्वर्टेड, तो देखिए पहले यहां पे रॉ मटेरियल भी लगता था, पहले यहां पे आपका मशीनिंग भी लगता था और डिलीवरी भी लगता था. यहां पे तीनों कॉस्ट आपकी इनकर्ड होती थी व्हेन इट इज एक्सटर्नल फेल्योर. लेकिन जब इंटरनल फेल्योर होगा तो रॉ मटेरियल तो इनकर्ड होगा, मशीनिंग कॉस्ट भी लगेगी, क्योंकि ये डिफेक्ट हमने कब आइडेंटिफाई किया? आफ्टर द प्रोडक्शन हैज बीन कंप्लीटेड. बट सिंस दे आर नॉट डिलीवर्ड टू द कस्टमर, देयरफॉर डिलीवरी कॉस्ट नहीं लगेगी. पहले ये तीनों चीज मिला के हमारा 1500 हुआ करता था, अब हमारा 1400 लगेगा. तो 500 इंटू 100 रुपी की हमारे पास सेविंग होगी. आई थिंक ये हो जाएगा आपका 5 लाख रुपी, 50,000 5 लाख. तो यहाँ पे 5 लाख रुपी आपकी डिलीवरी कॉस्ट की सेविंग हो रही है. ठीक है, अब एडिशनल कंट्रीब्यूशन आपको मिलेगा, एडिशनल कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑन 50,000 यूनिट्स मल्टीप्लाई बाय 1,000 रुपी. ठीक है, बट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है बेटा, इस एडिशनल कंट्रीब्यूशन को कमाने के लिए आपको यहां पर एक एडिशनल कॉस्ट भी इनकर्ड करना पड़ेगा. प्लीज आइडेंटिफाई व्हाट इज दैट एडिशनल कॉस्ट. ओके बेटा, I hope you are not referring the solution part, beta. You are giving me the answer on your own thinking power. Okay, I don't want the answer from checking the study material and then you are giving. That will not help you in the examination, beta. Just think on your own to earn additional contribution on 50,000 unit. Definitely the additional contribution will be 1,000, but to earn such contribution, we have to incur additional cost. I have not taken here 2,500 रुपये ना, यहाँ पे मैंने 2,500 नहीं लिया बेटा. 2,500 लेता तो डेफिनेटली मटेरियल, लेबर और डिलीवरी कॉस्ट लगती. आई हैव गॉट द नेट अमाउंट 1,000 रुपी. स्टिल वन एडिशनल कॉस्ट इज देयर बिकॉज एक्सटर्नल फेल्यूर विल नाउ बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू इंटरनल फेल्यूर. व्हाट इज दैट एडिशनल कॉस्ट? जस्ट गिव मी द आंसर. आई डोंट वांट द कंप्लीट न्यूमेरिकल फाइनल आंसर बेटा. Inspection cost, yes, some of the students are right, there should be an inspection cost, but as a student beta, we cannot consider the inspection cost because it is not given in requirement part number 2. Although logically there should be an additional inspection cost, but such cost is not given, so we have to ignore that one. Any other point beta? All the students are correct that inspection cost will be there undoubtedly, but inspection cost is not given in the requirement part number 2, so we cannot consider the amount on our own. Then what is the additional cost on this unit? So from where you have collected beta 3 crore rupee, I don't think it is given in the question. 3 crore rupee is nowhere given in the question. I think 3 crore rupees is not given in the question. Whether it is given? Okay. Oh, sorry, beta. It is the cost is given 2 crore rupee. The cost is given 2 crore rupee. Okay. The cost is given in this question 2 crore rupee. So additional cost number 1. Additional cost number 1, 2 crore rupee. Now my question is second point. What is the other additional cost? It is given beta 2 crore rupees is given. So 2 crore additional cost is given. What is the other additional cost that we have to incur? Two crore is given in the question regarding the inspection cost. What one more additional cost we have to incur to earn that contribution of 50,000 into 1,000? Just think over it beta, because thinking is the most crucial part of the syllabus. Unless and until you think on your own, you will not have confidence to face the examination. Although it is a tough process, but definitely I'm quite confident that you work on it, and definitely you will keep on trying so that before the examination, your thought process matches up to the ICI expectation. Okay, Avija beta, the answer is before such inspection process, we are producing 1 lakh unit. I would say 1,05,000 units. All the 1,05,000 units are inspected. So in finished goods warehouse, we sent only 1 lakh unit and sold 1 lakh good unit to the customer, because 5,000 units have been identified by the inspection department. Now, very important, whether this additional 50,000 unit when produced, will there be no defective on this 50,000 unit? Whether it's possible, because inspection cost is not preventing the defect from occurring, because you are inspecting the product at the end of the process. At the end of the process, you are not preventing the defect from occurring, just you are detecting the defect before they are being sold to the final consumer. So my question to you is whether only 50,000 units have to be produced to sell those 50,000 units? No way. Because inspection process at the end of the production department is not preventing the defect, only it is just identifying the defect. So the ratio is 5,000 unit is defective unit on 1 lakh invoiced unit. So therefore, additionally, 2,500 units have to be produced. Additionally, 2,500 unit has to be produced. That is a total of 52,500 unit has to be produced. All the 52,000 unit will also go in the inspection department. Out of that 52,500, 25,000 units will be identified as defective, and the remaining 50,000 unit will be sold to the consumer. So this is a very, very, very important point. So they to produce, to sell for additional 50,000 unit, we have to produce 52,500 units to sell 50,000 unit. So there will be additional cost on 2,500 unit. अब आप मुझे बताइए बेटा, 2,500 यूनिट पर 1,400 रुपए की कॉस्ट लगेगी या 2,500 यूनिट पर 1,500 रुपए की कॉस्ट लगेगी? पहले पॉइंट क्लियर हुआ ना आपको? 50,000 यूनिट्स को बेचने के लिए हमें 52,000 यूनिट्स मैन्युफैक्चर करना पड़ेगा. नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज ऑन दोस 2,500 यूनिट वेदर 1,400 विल बी एप्लीकेबल और 1,500 विल बी एप्लीकेबल. Jishnu, Dhara, Aniket, the answer is 1,400 given by them. Okay, let's wait beta. Other student wants answer. I will provide you the correct answer whether 1,400 will be incurred or 1,500 will be incurred on that. Okay, all of the students have given the correct answer. This 2,500 unit will also be inspected before they are being delivered to the customer. Therefore, 1,400 rupee will be incurred. For 2,500 into 1,400 is the additional cost plus 2 crore rupee. माइनस करेंगे तो you will get the net answer. क्लियर बेटा? बहुत ही अच्छा पॉइंट था, बहुत ही बढ़िया पॉइंट, बिकॉज द मेन पॉइंट इज एक्सटर्नल फेल्यूर गेट्स कन्वर्टेड इनटू इंटरनल फेल्यूर. और ये पॉइंट भी बहुत सुपर था 2,500 वाला, दैट इज टू सेल 50,000 यूनिट you have to produce 52,500 because inspection at the end of the process is not eliminating the defect, is not preventing the defect, just it helps in identifying the defect before they are being sold to the final consumer. Clear है? चलिए अब रिक्वायरमेंट पार्ट नंबर आप 3rd पढ़िए बेटा. और मुझे बताइए रिक्वायरमेंट पार्ट नंबर 3rd जब आप पढ़ लेंगे तो आस्क योरसेल्फ अ क्वेश्चन वेदर नॉन कन्फर्मेंस कॉस्ट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ इंटरनल फेल्यूर or external failure will be there. Once again, I am repeating बेटा, जब आप requirement part number 3 पढ़े तो अपने आप से एक सवाल पूछे, requirement part number 3 में हमारा जो failure cost होगी वो internal failure के नाम से होगी या external failure के नाम से होगी. In requirement part number 3, whether the failure will be in the form of internal failure or external failure. Take your time, beta. I am giving you complete 3 minutes to read out and interpret requirement part number 3 with my question. Okay, Dhara has replied it will be an internal failure cost. Okay. Take your time, beta. I am giving you 2 to 3 minutes to read out and interpret the same. Soham, my question is beta, whether failure cost will be in the form of internal or external, as simple as this. Dhara, Soham and Jishnu have answered me. What about other student? Harshad, Avija, Veera Murli, Bhavin. What's your answer? Okay, beta, when you read out the requirement part very carefully, you will came to the conclusion that in this point, requirement part number 2, the failure will be 0. There will be no internal failure. There will be no external failure whatsoever. And also it has been written in this requirement part. Let's read out this requirement part very, very carefully. Quality control investigation reveals that defective production is entirely on account of inferior quality raw material component procured from a large base of 30 suppliers. Okay, so now they have identified the root cause of defective. The root cause of defective is inferior quality raw material. There is a concept GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. If the inferior quality raw material you use, definitely the production will have some defective. So they have identified the root cause of problem, that the root cause of problem is inferior quality of raw material. Currently, there is no inspection at the procurement stage to check the quality of this material. The management has a proposal to have inspector check the quality control at the procurement stage itself. So what's the difference in the inspection process of requirement part number 2 and requirement part number 3? Here, the inspection in requirement part number 2, the inspection is of finished goods just before delivery to customer. It means you utilize the raw material, you have incurred the machining and assembly cost. After that, you will be able to identify the defect unit. While in requirement part number 3rd, there is inspection at the procurement stage itself. There is inspection at the procurement stage itself. So any defective raw material component will be replaced free of cost by the supplier. तो जो रूट कॉस्ट था वो था इंफीरियर क्वालिटी ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल. तो हमने इंस्पेक्शन प्रोसेस, अब रॉ मटेरियल परचेज किया, हमारे फैक्ट्री में आया. अभी क्या होता था? परचेज ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल, रिसीव ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल एट स्टोर, नाउ दे आर इश्यूड टू द प्रोडक्शन डिपार्टमेंट. तो अगर इंफीरियर रॉ मटेरियल था वो भी इश्यू हो जाता था प्रोडक्शन डिपार्टमेंट को. बट नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन? बिफोर इश्यूइंग द बिफोर स्टोरिंग सच रॉ मटेरियल, we will first inspect the raw material, and any inferior quality of raw material will be returned to the supplier free of charge. So only and only the good quality of raw material will be issued to the production department. Now there will be no defective. This will ensure that no product produced by Cool Air is defective. ये बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट लाइन है बेटा. यही लाइन आपको सजेस्ट करती है कि there will be no इंटरनल फेल्यूर एज वेल एज एक्सटर्नल फेल्यूर, क्योंकि जो रूट कॉज था हमने उस पर अटैक किया, जिसके कारण अब हमारा जो फेल्यूर है वो टोटली जीरो हो चुका है. क्लियर है? क्लियर है बेटा सभी को? ये पॉइंट बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था. अब इसकी इंस्पेक्शन कॉस्ट कितनी है? 4 करोड़ रुपए इंस्पेक्शन कॉस्ट है. आपको बताना है कि कितना नेट बेनिफिट होगा कंपनी को अगर ये प्रपोजल इंप्लीमेंट कर देते हैं तो. एनी डाउट बेटा इन द इंटरप्रिटेशन पार्ट? चलिए देखिए इसका क्या आंसर होगा. आंसर इज वेरी सिंपल, वेरी वेरी सिंपल बेटा. सबसे पहले जो 5000 यूनिट्स हमारा एक्सटर्नल फेल्यूर था उस पे अब पूरे 1500 रुपए की हमें सेविंग होगी. व्हाट वुड यू से बेटा? पूरे 1500 रुपए की हमें सेविंग होगी, क्योंकि अब 5000 यूनिट्स होगा ही नहीं अब डिफेक्टिव, बिकॉज रॉ मटेरियल को हमने इंस्पेक्शन कर लिया है बिफोर दे आर बीइंग इश्यूड टू द प्रोडक्शन डिपार्टमेंट. नाउ ओनली गुड क्वालिटी ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल विल गो इन द प्रोडक्शन डिपार्टमेंट. और प्रोडक्शन डिपार्टमेंट में कोई इश्यू नहीं था, इश्यू था इंफीरियर क्वालिटी ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल. सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट बेनिफिट. एंड द सेकेंड बेनिफिट इज 50,000 यूनिट्स पर अब हम एडिशनली 1000 रुपी अर्न करेंगे. सो माइनस कॉस्ट जो यहां पे लगेगी वो आपकी 4 करोड़ रुपए. सो द नेट बेनिफिट विल बी आई थिंक 1.75 करोड़ रुपए आपका नेट बेनिफिट कहलाएगा इस पर्टिकुलर केस. इन डाउट बेटा? सुपर क्वेश्चन वंस अगेन, बिकॉज इंटरप्रिटेशन इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Any doubt beta? Requirement part number 4 is very simple, so we are not wasting any time on requirement part number 4. Any doubt beta in this particular question? You can ask. If there is no doubt, now we can start the very very small theoretical topic, total quality management and business excellence model. I'm waiting for your revert beta. If there is any doubt, please revert with that doubt. Otherwise, say no doubt so that I can proceed towards the next topic of this particular chapter. धाराशाह 2500 यूनिट बहुत सिंपल था बेटा. सेकेंड पार्ट में since inspection will be done after the manufacturing, okay, so defect वो prevent नहीं हो रहा है, only the defect is converted from external to internal. so अगर हमें 50,000 यूनिट्स बेचना है तो डेफिनेटली हमें उससे ज्यादा बनाना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि हमें पता है जब भी हम इंस्पेक्शन करेंगे तो उसमें से कुछ यूनिट डिफेक्टिव आएगी. सो 5% ऑन इनवॉइस यूनिट हमने परसेंटेज निकाला है, 5000 डिवाइडेड बाय 1 लाख, तो 50,000 का 5%, 2500 यूनिट हमें और एडिशनली बनाना पड़ेगा। टोटल 52,500 यूनिट मैन्युफैक्चर करेंगे, इंस्पेक्शन होगा 52,500 का, उसमें से 2500 यूनिट डिफेक्टिव आइडेंटिफाई हो जाएगी एंड द रिमेनिंग 50,000 यूनिट विल बी सोल्ड टू द फाइनल कंज्यूमर। प्रिवेंशन बेटा जो फोहम ने एक डाउट पूछा है, फॉर इंस्पेक्शन रॉ मटेरियल अप्रेजल ही रहेगा बेटा, ऑलवेज इट विल बी द अप्रेजल, द R&D कॉस्ट डेफिनेटली दैट विल बी द प्रिवेंशन कॉस्ट। बट एक बार वो सिस्टम आपने इंप्लीमेंट कर दिया, जब आप रूट कॉज फाइंड आउट कर रहे थे ना कि व्हाट इज द रूट कॉज ऑफ डिफेक्टिव, दैट द कॉस्ट ऑफ डिफेक्टिव इज प्रिवेंशन कॉस्ट। बट वंस यू आर आइडेंटिफाइड एंड इंप्लीमेंटेड दैट प्रपोजल, any sort of inspection, testing, auditing of existing condition will always be the appraisal cost. चलिए बेटा बड़े आगे, नो डाउट। अब आते हैं अपन एकदम स्मॉल थ्योरेटिकल टॉपिक है, लेट्स कम टू दैट पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक, टोटल क्वालिटी मैनेजमेंट। There are four major topics as we have already dealt with in the very first session of this chapter. The first one is quality principles. In quality principle, we are having three major topics: cost of quality, TQM, and the third topic is business excellence model. The first topic we have completed just now. There are some more questions, beta, but I think they are very simple questions. It's better that I would give you an assignment of the remaining question of cost of quality. Solve all those questions, not today, not yesterday. Once the Diwali vacation is over, our next batch is on 27. So I think 26th night or 27th morning, you can do such question. And if there is any doubt on such question, we can definitely discuss those questions at the starting of the session on 27th. Okay, beta. So I am going to start the second topic, total quality management. Use the heading in your copy, total quality management. The abbreviated norm is TQM. Total quality management. Write down the very first point. 100% theoretical topic, beta. This total quality management, and the next topic, business excellence model. Likhiye. This concept was emerged in Japan in the year 1950s. In 1950s, but gained popularity worldwide. In the early 1980s. There are three words. The first word is total, the second word is quality, and the third word is management. Okay, beta. There are total three words in total quality management: total, second word quality, third word management. So let me first explain to you what do you mean by each individual word, and then we will write in our copy. The word total indicates that full employee involvement. Abbreviated नाम होता है बेटा इसका TEI, total employee involvement, is must if any organization wants to implement the TQM philosophy. You cannot be selective that the store department will have the quality norm and there will be no norms related to the other department. No, right from the purchase department, store department, production, inspection, warehouse, after fill service, finance department. Each and every department worker must be involved in the philosophy. Then only you can achieve the benefit of TQ. For the total word indicate TEI, total employee involvement is must for the successful implementation of total quality management. Okay. The second word, quality. The meaning of quality is the stated and the unstated need of the customer must be fulfilled. Stated need मतलब होता है जो उसने आपको कम्युनिकेट किया था, वो कम्युनिकेशन तो फुलफिल होना ही चाहिए उस प्रोडक्ट से. Unstated need, suppose the customer has communicated me that he require a car with super pickup, super mileage. Okay, my car will provide you the super pickup and super mileage. But what about the unstated need? Once the customer purchased the car, after 3 months, 6 months, they require the servicing. So for that, whether service centers are there, whether trained technicians are there, this is also required. So not only the stated but unstated need of the customer when fulfilled is known as quality product. In simple word, we can say value for money. Okay. Now this word management is very, very, very important. Quality is not to be controlled, but you have to prevent the defect. When you prevent the defect from occurring in the very first instant, then you are said that you have managed the quality. But when you only control the number of defectives in a manufacturing process, that is known as quality control, total quality control. But you do not desire the total quality control, you require total quality management. Total quality management, the word management requires that defect is to be prevented from occurring in the very first instant. हमें डिफेक्ट को मैनेज नहीं करना है, हमें डिफेक्ट को कंप्लीटली एलिमिनेट करना है. Then the word management is used, not the control word is used. Okay, beta, please write down in your copy. Second point, the word total inverted comma में लिखेगा, total word inverted comma close. The word total inverted comma close indicates, कैपिटल लेटर्स में लिखिएगा बेटा TEI, कैपिटल लेटर्स में TEI डैश करके लिखिए, टोटल एम्प्लॉय इन्वॉल्वमेंट. फुल स्टॉप. कंटिन्यू कीजिए इसी को ही. All the employees in the organization, all the employees in the organizations must be involved. All the employees in the organization must be involved to get the benefit of TQM. All the employees in the organization must be involved to get the benefit of TQM. Second point लिखिए, quality. The word quality means, the word quality means fulfilling and even exceeding the expectation of customers. Fulfilling and even exceeding the expectation of customers. नेक्स्ट लाइन में लिखे, द वर्ड मैनेजमेंट, इन्वर्टेड कॉमा में लिखेगा वर्ड मैनेजमेंट को. The word management means defect if to be prevented, defect if to be prevented from occurring in the very first instance, defect is to be prevented from occurring in the very first instance. ठीक है बेटा, अब आइए देखिए आप डेफिनेशन पार्ट। चार्टर्ड इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मैनेजमेंट अकाउंटेंट जो लंदन की बॉडी है, उन्होंने डेफिनेशन दिया है टीक्यूएम पर। रीड आउट दिस डेफिनेशन। टीक्यूएम पे जो डेफिनेशन है, इंटीग्रेटेड एंड कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव सिस्टम ऑफ प्लानिंग एंड कंट्रोलिंग ऑल बिजनेस फंक्शन। दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। सिलेक्टेड एरिया पे आप क्वालिटी कॉन्शियस हो रहे हैं, इट्स नॉट बेनिफिशियल। हर बिजनेस फंक्शन पे आपको प्लानिंग एंड कंट्रोल करना पड़ेगा, तब जाके आप टीक्यूएम इंप्लीमेंट कर पाएंगे, सो दैट प्रोडक्ट और सर्विसेज आर प्रोड्यूस विच मीट और एक्सीड कस्टमर एक्सपेक्टेशन। आपको वो प्रोडक्ट और सर्विस बनाना है, इसमें हर बिजनेस फंक्शन का इन्वॉल्वमेंट होगा, जिससे आप अपने कस्टमर की एक्सपेक्टेशन को मीट कर पाए या उसको एक्सीड कर पाए। ओके, टीक्यूएम इज अ फिलॉसफी ऑफ बिजनेस बिहेवियर embracing principles such as employee involvement, full employee involvement, continuous improvement at all level, and customer focus. This is also very important. Customer focus. It's not from the viewpoint of management to save the cost, rather than it's from the viewpoint of the customer. What are their expectations? Not only we have to meet the expectation, but we have to exceed those expectations. As well as being a collection of related technique aimed at improving quality, such as full documentation of activity. ये पूरी process आपको यहाँ पे guide किया है. So TQM is a philosophy that eliminate waste and at the same time increases the efficiency of the organization. Clear बेटा? So total quality management, all the employees should be involved. Second point, quality meeting the customer expectation. Third, quality a defect is to be prevented from occurring in the very first instance. And very important point, please write down one more point beta. TQM is customer centric. That is, whatever quality improvement drive you are initiating, whatever quality improvement drive you are initiating, must be from the viewpoint of customer. चलिए बेटा, अब इसी से रिलेटेड एक थ्योरी है, 6 C's of TQM. A simple theoretical question can be asked in the examination. What are the 6 C of TQM? है ना? So इसमें फर्स्ट C का मतलब है continuous improvement, commitment, culture, cooperation, customer focus and control. A pure theoretical point. So I'm giving you time बेटा, बहुत छोटा सा है ये, तो जल्दी से आप स्टडी मटेरियल में सभी 6 पढ़ लीजिए. आई थिंक वी हैव डिस्कस इनफ, तो एक भी पॉइंट में कोई भी आपको इश्यू नहीं आना है. What are the 6 C? But definitely this has to be studied right now, because it's not possible after the batch you can devote time on this festival season, beta na? So better to give 4 to 5 minutes in the class itself to read out what are the 6 C's of TQM. Okay beta, I'm giving a complete time of 4 to 5 minutes to read out what are the 6 C's of TQM. I think it has been also out in the examination, and if not, it can be easily asked for 4 marks. What are the 6 C's of TQM? Okay, although there will be no practical application of this particular 6 C of TQM, so therefore a direct theoretical question can be framed on this particular point. What are the 6 C's of TQM? Okay, चलिए समय आपके पास 4 to 5 minutes. If you have done beta the reading part, if there is any doubt, you can ask the same. चलिए बेटा, have you read out the same? Any doubt in the 6C of TQM? बढ़े आगे, चलिए देखिए. Now, जो डेमिंग साहब थे, there are 3 persons who have developed the TQM concept, but Mr. Edward Deming has contributed a lot in this TQM philosophy, and he has given a cycle known as PDCA cycle. You have to plan what is your target, then you have to implement that one, and once the results are out, you have to check whether whatever expectation you are carrying, whether you are able to eliminate the defect and increase the efficiency, and if not, you have to take corrective action so that this process will be repeated unless and until the customer expectation are met or even exceeded the customer expectation. So this is PDCA cycle, plan, do, act cycle. Okay, beta? Chili. Now we will take a break of 12 to 13 minutes, and thereafter we will start a theoretical topic, or we can start a practical topic that is known as theory of constraint. We'll check when we resume. So take a break of 12 to 13 minutes, beta. Right now it's 1927. So we will take a break till I think 1940. Okay. So break till 1940. Chali beta, now we will start a new topic in this particular chapter. Please give the heading in your copy, Theory of Constraint. Theory of Constraint. 100% practical topic, okay. Practical come application based, no theoretical question is being involved in this concept, Theory of Constraint. A very superb topic in modern business environment. Theory of Constraint. So before starting the concept of theory of constraint, I would ask a question. If I ask you what are the components of fixed cost, if I ask you a question, what are the components of fixed cost? Many of you would say rent. Yes, rent is a component of fixed cost, correct? Another example can be salary, insurance, depreciation, lighting expense, annual maintenance cost. All these are the components or examples of fixed cost. Okay. Now, I want to ask you, what are the components of variable cost? Please name me minimum 3 components of variable cost. So these are the components of variable cost, or these are the examples of variable cost. I have told you the examples or components of fixed cost: rent, electricity, insurance, salary, depreciation. These are the components oblique example of fixed cost. Now I'm asking you, what are the components of variable cost? Name minimum 3. Minimum 3 components of variable cost. What are the components or examples of variable cost? Please revert fast, beta. I'm waiting for your answer. Okay, Rashmi has answered raw material, packaging, wages. Any other student? What are the components or examples of variable cost which together make up the variable cost? So the common example I could say it's raw material. It can be labor cost, direct labor cost. Okay. It can be variable overhead, variable factory overhead, variable admin overhead, variable selling and distribution overhead. It can take any form. Okay. But if I say raw material is the only variable cost, mark my word, I am using the word only. But if I say raw material is the only variable cost, would you agree with my statement? Because as per your knowledge, there are different components of variable cost. But what I am saying now, that raw material is the only variable cost, even direct labor, even variable overhead will not be considered as variable. Will you agree to my statement? Yes or no? No logic is required. Raw material is the only variable cost. Okay, Aniket has said, no, sir, I will not agree to your statement. Okay, beta? Other student, will you agree with my statement that raw material is the only variable cost? It means all other are fixed cost. No, beta, I don't think even a single student will agree with my statement that raw material is the only variable cost, because what we have studied at inter level and even in final level we will study that there are different components of variable cost. raw material, direct labor, variable factory overhead, variable selling overhead, variable distribution overhead. So there are n number of components that together make up the variable cost, as similar is the case with the fixed cost. But in this concept of theory of constraint, this statement holds good that raw material is the only variable cost. Apart from POC, definitely raw material, direct labor, variable, different types of variable, all together forms of the variable cost. But for this concept of TOC, the author Elihu M. Goldratt, he has written a book in 1980s. The name of the book is The Goal, in which he has proved to the world that the only variable cost that exists in this modern environment is the raw material cost. Direct labor are incurred in the organization. Variable overhead are incurred in the organization, but they cannot be regarded as variable. They have to be regarded as fixed cost and not the variable cost. Okay, beta, can you provide me the logic why any author, forget about Elihu M. Goldratt, why he has not considered direct labor? I'm not talking about the labor, I'm talking about the direct labor. Even direct labor are not considered as variable cost, they are considered as fixed cost. What would be the logic? The logic is very simple, beta. Hai? You pay labor ₹2 per hour. Suppose you are paying the labor ₹2 per hour. And you know, even if there are idle hours, you have to pay the worker. It means if the factory timing is morning 8 to evening 4, so one thing is sure, before the production start, we know that we have to pay for 8 hours, whether those 8 hours are productive one or idle one. Even abnormal idle time is to be paid to the worker. 8 hours multiplied by rate of worker. So whatever production is there, whatever worker efficiency is there, we have to pay shift of 8 hours multiplied by rate per hour to all the workers. Agree? And what do you mean by variable cost? Variable cost means if you produce more, you will incur more cost. If you produce less, you will incur less cost, and that too in direct proportion. Ask yourself whether labor cost is changing due to the change in production. No, it is fixed. Every worker is coming in the factory for 8 hours. Whatever their efficiency is, whatever the idle time, productive time is, they will be paid 8 hours multiplied by rate of labor. So in fact, labor cost is being incurred, but labor cost is fixed in nature rather than variable in nature. That's the point Mr. Elihu M. Goldratt has identified in his book, that the only variable cost in the modern business environment is the raw material cost. Rest all the costs will be incurred. Undoubtedly, labor cost will be incurred, variable overhead will be incurred, but you cannot have a direct proportion of such cost related with production. They tend to behave via time rather than production. So please write down the very first point. This concept was given by Mr. Goldratt. This concept was given by Mr. Goldratt in his book. Write down in inverted comma, The Goal. Inverted comma close, in the year 1980s. In the 1980s. Second point, and write down this second point through red pen, the most important point of TOC. Most important point. Mark it as most important. Normally, the components of variable cost are raw material, comma, direct labor, raw material, comma, direct labor, and variable overhead. Full stop. Next line. रेड पेन से लिखेगा बेटा, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है. बट अकॉर्डिंग टू टीओफी, comma, the only component of variable cost is raw material. अंडरलाइन कर दीजिएगा रॉ मटेरियल को. द ओनली कंपोनेंट ऑफ वेरिएबल कॉस्ट इज रॉ मटेरियल. Full stop. Next line. It means even direct labor and variable overhead, are considered to be fixed costs, in TOF. Are considered to be fixed costs in TOF. Now, please write down, beta, comparison of marginal costing and TOF. Comparison of marginal costing and TOF. Comparison of marginal costing and TOF. This is marginal costing. And this is TOF. The first point. Period of decision making. For both the technique will be used to make decision. And what are the period of decision making? Whether we are using marginal costing or whether you are using TOF. Both the technique will be used for short-term decision making. For long-term decision making, you will not be using marginal costing, neither TOF. You will be using the capital budgeting decision. Okay, so it is the similarity in both the technique work only for short-term decision making. Short-term decision making, we can say less than 6 months or 3 months, depends upon the situation. Beta, there is no clear-cut definition. What do you mean by short-term for this technique? But definitely for a short period of time. For any long period of time, you have to use the technique capital budgeting. Second point, now the difference arises. Components of variable cost. So raw material is the first component under marginal costing. Direct labor is there. Variable overhead is there. All such costs together make up the variable cost. But in TOF, only and only raw material is the variable cost. There is no other component of variable cost as per the concept of TOF given by Elihu M. Goldratt. Okay. The only component of variable cost is raw material. Third point, components of fixed cost. It would be rent, salary, depreciation, etc. Endless list है. यहां पे इंपॉर्टेंट है, टीओसी ये नहीं बोलता है कि लेबर और वेरिएबल ओवरहेड इंकर्ड नहीं होगा. लेबर एंड वेरिएबल ओवरहेड विल बी इंकर्ड, but their incurrence is not dependent on production. Their incurrence is dependent on time. Once again, I am repeating, direct labor and variable overhead will be incurred under TOC, but their incurrence is not dependent upon the number of units produced. Their incurrence is dependent more or less on the time period. Therefore, in TOC, not only rent, salary, depreciation, etc. will be covered, but even direct labor plus variable overhead is also covered under the head fixed cost in theory of constraint. Rent will be there, salary will be there, depreciation will be there, etc. क्लियर है बेटा? चलिए आगे कंटिन्यू करें इसी को अपन. पॉइंट नंबर 4, सेल्स माइनस वेरिएबल कॉस्ट को आप यहां पे क्या टर्मिनोलॉजी बोलते हैं? कंट्रीब्यूशन. जो भी रिजल्टिंग फिगर है, you called it as contribution under marginal costing, sale minus variable cost, while in TOC, sale minus variable cost and the only variable cost is raw material, you will call here throughput contribution. Distinguish किया है contribution और throughput contribution को. If we are using the word throughput contribution, it means contribution is calculated through TOC. That is, we have deducted only the raw material cost from the sale profit. While if you are using the word contribution, all the components of variable cost are deducted while arriving at the contribution. Clear है बेटा? पांचवा पॉइंट, डिमांड ज्यादा है, सप्लाई कम है. आप बताइए इस सिचुएशन को नॉर्मली क्या बोला जाता है? व्हाट दिस सिचुएशन इज कॉल्ड? Demand is more than supply. Waiting beta for your answer. Demand is more than supply. What we call this situation normally? Demand is more than supply. What this situation is normally called? No, beta, it's not called the TOC. No, Bhavin. Demand is more than supply. What this situation is called? Demand of any resources, be it a material, labor, variable overhead, machining. Demand of any resources is higher than its supply. What this is called? Rashmi, Aniket, Sayyad, Soham, Dhara, what's your opinion, beta? No, it's not inflation, beta. It's not inflation. In costing world, I am talking about. If the demand of any resources is more than its supply, what it is called? Oh, very strange, beta. No student has given me the correct answer. Very strange for me. It's a very simple point, beta. Whenever the demand of any resources is more than its availability, normally we called it as key factor. Normally we called it as key factor. Very simple point. I am expecting the correct answer from each and every student at this point. Whenever the demand is more than supply, we normally called it as key factor under marginal costing. But in TOC, the same situation doesn't differ. The same situation will be called as bottleneck. So the key factor word will not be used to indicate that demand is more than supply. If the key factor word is used, it means the marginal costing technique is to be applied. But for the same situation, if demand is more than supply, then it is called as bottleneck. Clear है बेटा? चलिए बेटा, अब एक पॉइंट बड़ा ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. I am giving you one example. Tell me your opinion about this. This is department A. This is department B. And this is department C. Okay, the output of department C is known as finished goods. Okay, so to manufacture finished goods, first of all, it will be processed in department A, and then it will be processed in department B, and finally the department C process the same, and the output of department C is known as finished goods. Okay, so suppose capacity of production in units. It can produce 1000 units, it can produce 1200 units, and it can produce 1100 units. Okay, the demand of finished goods is 1000 units. Is there any bottleneck among the department A, B, and C? If yes, tell me the department that is the bottleneck. And always remember, the bottleneck means the demand of that resources is more than the capacity to supply. It is the demand, market demand of finished goods is 1000, and I have given you the capacity of each individual department. Can you please tell me, beta, what will be the bottleneck as per TOC? Or bottleneck simply means demand is more than its supply. Waiting for your answer, beta. And key factor we call in marginal costing. The same answer we will use the word bottleneck while following the question of TOC. Okay, as per Bhavin, there is no bottleneck, and the correct answer, beta, there is no bottleneck because no department is restricting the production below 1000 units. The demand is 1000 units. First of all, the product will be processed by department A. Whether department A has the capacity to produce 1000 units, this 1000 units, yes, it can produce. So the demand and supply same. There is no gap between demand and supply. The demand is 1000 units, while department B can process 1200 units. Even after processing of 1000 units, we are having idle capacity of 200 units in department B. So even in this case, demand is not more than the supply. Department C has the capacity to process 1100 units, while the demand is just 1000 units. So even department C can process the full demand of 1000 units. So in this particular case, there is no key factor. In this particular case, there is no key factor, that is no bottleneck. Now I'm changing the situation. Now tell me, beta, if the market demand of finished goods is 1050, market demand of finished goods is 1050, which department among the three A, B, and C can be called as bottleneck resource? That is the department restricting the output that can be sold in the market. If the demand is now 1050 units, Which department is the bottleneck resource? In simple word, you can communicate yourself as key factor you are finding. Demand is more than supply. That is the department which is restricting the maximum output that can be sold in the market. Okay, department A is the key factor. Very simple, beta. Department B has enough capacity to process 1050 units, but department B cannot process unless and until department A gives its output. Department C also have enough capacity. Okay, so in this particular case, department A will be the bottleneck. So department A हमारे लिए bottleneck है. तो कोई बता सकता है बेटा इस सिचुएशन में द मैक्सिमम यूनिट दैट कैन बी प्रोड्यूस्ड एंड सोल्ड, इस सिचुएशन में द मैक्सिमम यूनिट दैट कैन बी प्रोड्यूस्ड एंड सोल्ड बाय द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, if department A has a capacity of 1000 unit, department B 1200 unit, department C 1100 unit, and to manufacture finished goods all the three departments must process that unit. Demand of the finished goods is 1050. How many units that can be manufactured and sold by the organization in this particular question? बोलिए बेटा जल्दी आंसर दीजिए आप मुझे. 1000 unit. In other words, bottleneck activity, that is department A is restricting the output. Agreed? All students have given me the correct answer, 1000 unit. I have converted it into language term. That is department A, that is the bottleneck activity is restricting the output. That is a maximum of 1000 unit. Agreed? चलिए. Now, what if, अब इसको आप भूल जाइए, अब मुझे बताइए, अब अगर मेरे फिनिश गुड्स की डिमांड 1150 यूनिट्स है, which department or departments, mind my word, which department or departments are key factor the bottleneck? Now, if the finished goods demand is 1150, which department or departments are the bottleneck factor? Okay, Bhavin, department A and department C are the bottleneck factor. Okay. Other student, please communicate, beta. Okay, Sayyar, department A and C, very good. So in this case, undoubtedly, department A and department C are bottleneck. Department A and department C are bottleneck. In the previous example, only department A is the bottleneck. In this example, department A is the bottleneck. So we are focusing only on department A. But now what to do when there are two bottlenecks? Can you tell me, out of department A and department C, both are the bottleneck, undoubtedly. But which department deserves more attention so that organization output can be increased? Department A and department C, both are the bottleneck, no doubt about that. But which department deserves more attention so that organizational output can be increased. Department A needs more attention or department C needs more attention? Department A needs more attention because department A is weakest among them. Although department C is also a bottleneck, but since department A can process only 1000 unit, this 1000 unit will be transferred to department B, and only department B can transfer 1000 unit to department C. Although it is having the capacity of 1100, although it is a bottleneck, but department C has not restricted the output, department A has restricted the output. तो अब इस सिचुएशन में आई एम गिविंग यू अ न्यू वर्ड if there are two or more bottleneck in the organization. Please listen my word very carefully. If there are two or more bottleneck in the organization, then the bottleneck which restrict the output of the organization, in this case only 1000 unit can be produced and sold. That is, department A is the weakest among the all bottleneck, then this bottleneck is now technically known as constraint. समझ में आया बेटा? अगर हमारे पास एक से ज्यादा बॉटलनेक है, दो या दो से ज्यादा बॉटलनेक है, तो हमें उनमें से सबसे वीकेस्ट ढूंढना है, और वीकेस्ट वो होगा जो हमें सबसे कम आउटपुट देगा. नाउ दैट प्रोसेस विल नॉट बी कॉल्ड बॉटलनेक, दैट प्रोसेस विल बी कॉल्ड एज कंस्ट्रेंट. है ना? लिखिए बेटा. If there are two or more bottleneck, comma, then the weakest among them write down in bracket, that is the department which gives lowest output. That is the department which gives lowest output, bracket close, is known as constraint. Is known as constraint. So what's the theory of Mr. Goldratt? The first point, the only variable cost in the organization is raw material. The second important point, please listen very carefully. When you are facing the problem of bottleneck and there are two or more bottleneck, don't focus on all the bottleneck at the same time. First, you have to focus on the constraint, and once the constraint become the bottleneck, non-bottleneck, then you will focus on department C. क्या मतलब हुआ बेटा? इलायू एम गोल्डरेट आगे बोलते हैं कि अगर आपके पास दो या दो से ज्यादा बॉटलनेक है, सभी बॉटलनेक पर इक्वल अटेंशन देने की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है. आउट ऑफ दैट बॉटलनेक, चूज वन बॉटलनेक दैट इज द वीकेस्ट, एंड नाउ टेक्निकली दैट इज नोन एज कंस्ट्रेंट. फर्स्ट फोकस ऑन इंक्रीजिंग द कैपेसिटी ऑफ द कंस्ट्रेंट and focus on that constraint unless and until that particular process become non-bottleneck. अब अगर आपने एक ही कैपेसिटी बढ़ा के सपोज 1200 कर दिया, now you will focus on increasing the capacity of department C so that organization can benefit more. But if you focus on increasing the capacity of department C without increasing the capacity of department A, there is no benefit. Because unless and until the weakest process known as constraint capacity is increased, other bottleneck capacity, if increased, will not result in any additional output. Clear है बेटा? कोई डाउट अभी तक यहाँ पे? पूछिए आप मुझसे. Any doubt? अब फिर रिक्वेस्ट है बेटा, आपके डाउट कंपेरेटिवली बहुत कम आते, फील फ्री टू आस्क योर डाउट। कोई भी डाउट है बिल्कुल आप उसको पूछ सकते हैं, बिकॉज अनलेस एंड अनटिल यू विल गेट द क्लैरिटी आउट ऑफ दिस बैचेस, देयर इज नो सेंस इन कंडक्टिंग द क्लासेस. It's batch conducted specially for you, and you must be benefited. That is the motive of ICI and all the faculties. Okay. So if you're having any doubt, you are free to ask that doubt, beta. क्या दो कंसेप्ट आपको क्लियर हुए? रॉ मटेरियल इज द ओनली वेरिएबल कॉस्ट, एंड द सेकंड पॉइंट, इफ देयर आर टू और मोर कंस्ट्रेंट और टू और मोर bottleneck, then first you have to focus on constraint, and when, unless and until the constraint become the non bottleneck, then only we should focus on the bottleneck activity so that organization output can be achieved. क्लियर बेटा? चलिए बढ़ते आगे अब अपन. अब आइए आप स्टडी मटेरियल के कुछ कंटेंट में. लिखिए बेटा, विद द हेडिंग ऑपरेशनल मेजर्स ऑफ TOC. Operational measures of TOC. Underline this heading. नेक्स्ट लाइन में लिखे बेटा आप, the following are the three key measures. Key measures को inverted comma में, because a theoretical question or application based question can be asked from this point. Key measures है ना, you have to remember this word, key measures. नेक्स्ट लाइन में लिखिए फर्स्ट पॉइंट, थ्रूपुट. Throughput is the difference between sale price and raw material cost. Write down second point, operating expense. All cost other than raw material, all cost other than raw material all cost other than raw material is known as operational expense, operating expense. All cost other than raw material is known as operating expense. Full stop. नेक्स्ट लाइन में लिखिए बेटा, पॉइंट यही है ना, ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस. इट इज ऑल्सो नोन एज, it is also known as fixed cost or factory cost. It is also known as fixed cost और फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट. तो फिक्स कॉस्ट के यहाँ पे दो नाम हो गए बेटा, एक फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट भी बोला जाता है यहाँ पे TOC में, और ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस भी बोला जाता है. थर्ड पॉइंट, इन्वेस्टमेंट. tangible and intangible assets, tangible and intangible assets such as plant and machinery, comma computers, licenses, etc. चलिए बेटा, अब एक और कंसेप्ट इसमें हेडिंग दीजिए आप, थ्रूपुट अकाउंटिंग। थ्रूपुट अकाउंटिंग, जो टीओफी का कंसेप्ट था, उसी कंसेप्ट को ये दो ऑथर्स ने अकाउंटिंग मैनर में कन्वर्ट कर दिया। ओरिजिनली द कंसेप्ट ऑफ टीओफी वाज गिवन बाय इलायू एम गोल्डरेक। नाउ दिस टू ऑथर, डेविड गैलोवे and David Weldron, has converted this concept into accounting denomination known as TA ratio, throughput accounting ratio. फॉर्मूला बहुत सिंपल है, सिर्फ और सिर्फ इसका इंटरप्रिटेशन इंपॉर्टेंट है। फॉर्मूला है थ्रूपुट पर बॉटलनेक मिनट डिवाइडेड बाय फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट पर बॉटलनेक मिनट। तो देखिए, थ्रूपुट अकाउंटिंग रेशियो कैलकुलेट करना इट्स वेरी इजी। क्या चाहिए आपको? थ्रूपुट per bottleneck minute. In other words, you require contribution per key factor. Throughput per bottleneck minute is nothing but contribution per key factor. एक की फैक्टर में आप कितने रुपए का कंट्रीब्यूशन कमा रहे हैं, that is known as throughput per bottleneck minute. Okay, factory cost, just we have written this point. The other name of factory cost is fixed cost. The other name of fixed cost is operating expense. So one and the same. इन टीओसी आप उसको ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस बोलिए, आप उसे फिक्स कॉस्ट बोलिए, आप उसे फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट बोलिए, वन एंड द सेम, देयर इज नो डिफरेंस। सो व्हाटएवर इज द फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट, फिक्स कॉस्ट और ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस, दैट विल बी डिवाइडेड बाय द की फैक्टर रिसोर्सेज टू गेट द फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट पर बॉटलनेक में। एक काम करते हैं, फॉर्मूला पहले लिख लेते हैं, फिर इसका इंटरप्रिटेशन देखते हैं। बेटा लिखिए आप फॉर्मूला, हेडिंग दे दी आपने थ्रूपुट अकाउंटिंग। अब पहला पॉइंट लिखिए इसमें फॉर्मूला, कॉपी दिस फॉर्मूला फ्रॉम द स्क्रीन। ये फॉर्मूला लिख दीजिए बेटा, थ्रूपुट पर बॉटलनेक मिनट डिवाइडेड बाय फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट पर बॉटलनेक मिनट। थ्रूपुट पर बॉटलनेक मिनट डिवाइडेड बाय फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट पर बॉटलनेक मिनट। नेक्स्ट लाइन में लिखिए बेटा, ये फॉर्मूला हो गया। नेक्स्ट लाइन में लिखिए, थ्रूपुट पर बॉटलनेक मिनट इज कंट्रीब्यूशन पर की फैक्टर। फॉर एग्जाम्पल देखिए, फॉर एग्जाम्पल if material is key factor, if material is key factor, comma, then contribution per kg is, then contribution per kg is throughput per bottleneck. If material is key factor, then contribution per kg is throughput per bottleneck. बताइए, अगर लेबर आवर की फैक्टर है तो देन व्हाट इज थ्रूपुट पर बॉटलनेक? इट्स कंट्रीब्यूशन पर लेबर आवर। इफ मशीन आवर इज बॉटलनेक, देन कंट्रीब्यूशन पर मशीन आवर। बहुत सिंपल है बेटा, है ना। फिर लिखिए एक लाइन ड्रॉप करके, फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट पर बॉटलनेक इज इक्वल टू, फॉर्मूला लिखना पड़ेगा, फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट पर बॉटलनेक इज इक्वल टू फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट डिवाइडेड बाय टोटल bottleneck resource. Factory cost divided by total bottleneck resource. क्लियर बेटा? नाउ अब इसका इंटरप्रिटेशन लिखिए, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। फॉर्मूला कैरीज नथिंग स्पेशल, बहुत सिंपल फॉर्मूला है। मेन इज इंटरप्रिटेशन। लिखिए बेटा इंटरप्रिटेशन। इंटरप्रिटेशन, 3 इंटरप्रिटेशन अपने को लिखना है। पहला इंटरप्रिटेशन लिखिए आप, हेडिंग दे दीजिए पहले इंटरप्रिटेशन। अब वन बाय वन अपने को 3 इंटरप्रिटेशन लिखना है। इफ टीए रेशियो इज इक्वल टू 1, if TA ratio is equal to 1, comma, the product is neither creating any profit nor loss. If the TA ratio is equal to 1, comma, the product is neither creating any profit nor loss. सेकेंड इंटरप्रिटेशन लिखिए, एक लाइन ड्रॉप करके लिखिएगा बेटा, थोड़ा स्पेशियस रहेगा तो आपको बाद में पढ़ने में इजी जाएगा। ड्रॉप वन लाइन एंड देन राइट डाउन। If TA ratio is more than 1, if TA ratio is more than 1, comma, it means the product is not only recovering the fixed cost. If TA ratio is not more than 1, the product is not only recovering the fixed cost, but also contributing towards the profit. But also contributing towards the profit. लास्ट इंटरप्रिटेशन लिखिए, इंटरप्रिटेशन नंबर 3rd। If the TA ratio, if the TA ratio is more than 1, if less than 1, if the TA ratio is less than 1, comma, the product is contributing towards loss. So stop. In other words, the product is not able to recover. In other words, the product is not able to recover even the allocated fixed cost. The product is not able to recover even the allocated fixed cost. Now I'm giving you an example, beta. You have to find out the TA ratio of all the 3. Okay. Suppose the product are, please write down this question and you have to solve this question on your own. ABC. Sale price is given 20 rupee, 15 rupee and 25 rupee. Raw material per unit is given 12, 10 and 20. Raw material per kg, raw material per unit in kgs. how many quantity of raw material if required to produce A, B, and C? It is given now. 2. 1. तो बेटा 21 कर देते, 20.5 कर देते अपन, 20 रुपी 50 पैसे। यहां पे भी 1 क्वांटिटी लग रही है। ओके, रॉ मटेरियल इज बॉटलनेक, operating expenses are $2,25,000 and total raw material availability is 50,000 kg। चलिए बेटा, मुझे तीनों प्रोडक्ट का आप टीए रेशियो निकाल के बताया। द टीए रेशियो इज वेरी सिंपल, थ्रूपुट पर बॉटलनेक, हियर बॉटलनेक इज पर केजी, तो आपको थ्रूपुट पर केजी निकालना है, डिवाइडेड बाय आपको चाहिए फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट पर केजी, क्योंकि यहाँ पे बॉटलनेक जो है वो केजी में एक्सप्रेस है। तो फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट आपको पता है, ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस पता है, आपको टोटल अवेलेबिलिटी पता है, यू कैन इजीली गेट द आंसर। तो मुझे बताइए ए, बी और सी का टीए रेशियो क्या क्या आ रहा है। आई एम गिविंग यू कंप्लीट 5 मिनट्स टाइम। I think 4 minutes is more than enough. 4 to 5 minutes time I am giving to you. Form it's not if सोहन ने एक डाउट पूछा पर मिनट में क्यों, बेटा जरूरी नहीं हो पर मिनट में, दैट इज जस्ट एन एग्जांपल। वो पर मिनट में हो सकता है, वो पर सेकंड में हो सकता है, पर केजी हो सकता है, पर लीटर हो सकता है, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन जो बॉटल नेक है वो किस डिनोमिनेशन में एक्सप्रेस है ना। इट इज नॉट नेसेसरीली शुड बी इन पर मिनट ओनली, इट कैन बी डिनोमिनेशन ऑफ एनी क्वांटिटी। सबसे पहले आप थ्रूपुट निकालिए, थ्रूपुट आएगा सेल प्राइस माइनस रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट। जब थ्रूपुट आ जाए तो आप उसको डिवाइड कीजिए बॉटलनेक रिसोर्सेज से, जो यहाँ पे रॉ मटेरियल पर यूनिट इन केजीज है, तो आपको पता लग जाएगा थ्रूपुट पर केजी। ये हो गया आपका न्यूमरेटर। डिनोमिनेटर के लिए आपको फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट डिवाइडेड बाय टोटल अवेलेबिलिटी करना, यू विल गेट द डिनोमिनेटर। बहुत सिंपल क्वेश्चन है बेटा, जस्ट फॉर्मूला देखिए और आंसर बताइए, इसमें बिल्कुल भी गलती नहीं होना चाहिए आपसे। वेरी वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चन। Please communicate with the answer बेटा. I am waiting for your answer. तो देखिए टीए रेशियो बहुत सिंपल है बेटा. ये 8 रुपये का कंट्रीब्यूशन दे रहा है. कितना बॉटलनेक रिसोर्सेस कंज्यूम करके, 2 बॉटलनेक रिसोर्स कंज्यूम करके, तो 8 डिवाइडेड बाय 2 कितने रुपए का आपका थ्रूपुट पर केजी आया? 4 रुपये. सिमिलरली ये आपको 5 रुपये कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन दे रहा है पर यूनिट, and 1 kgs are required to earn 5 rupee of throughput. So therefore rupee 5 divided by 1, it will get rupee 5. यहां पर 25 minus 20.5, you will get 4.5 rupee of throughput per unit, and raw material required is also 1 kg. So 4.5 divided by 1 kg is equal to 4.5. तो ये हो गया आपका न्यूमरेटर, दैट इज थ्रूपुट पर केजी. बॉटलनेक यहाँ पे केजी है, थ्रूपुट पर केजी. और आपको अब चाहिए ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस डिवाइडेड बाय बॉटलनेक. तो ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस आपका 2,25,000 है, डिवाइडेड बाय 50,000, तो यार आपका 4.5. इनडायरेक्टली व्हाट इज 4.5? इट इज द कॉमन एक्सपेंस पर केजी. 4.5 is the common expense per kg. So this is the denominator 4.5. So इसका आंसर 1 आ रहा है. इसका आंसर 1.1 ले लेते हैं अप्रोक्सीमेटली, है ना, और ये लगभग 0.09 के आसपास आ रहा है अप्रोक्सीमेटली. So product C is having a TA ratio of 1. So it is neither contributing towards profit nor incurring any loss. Product B is having a TA ratio of 1.1, so it is contributing towards profit. Logical भी है बेटा. Common cost is 4.5, while it is contributing rupee 5 per kg, not per unit. Rupee 5, 15 minus 10, rupee 5 divided by 1 kg. Coincidentally, per unit and per kg are same because only 1 kg of raw material are needed to manufacture 1 unit of B. So rupee 5 is contributing while the common expense is 4.5. So apart from recovering the common expenses, product B is contributing towards the profit. While product A is earning rupee 8 per unit divided by 2 kg, that is rupee 4 per kg. The throughput contribution per kg is rupee 4, while the common expense is 4.5. Therefore, product A is not able to recover even the common fixed cost of rupee 4.5. Therefore, product A is contributing towards the loss. Okay. So अगर हमें ranking देना हो तो definitely we will provide product B rank first, product C rank 2, and product A it will got the last rank, that is rank 3rd. Clear बेटा? Any doubt in this calculation? राहुल बेटा क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, आप मुझे थोड़ा डिटेल में एक्सप्लेन करेंगे तो फिर मैं आपको बताऊंगा बेटा. ये क्योंकि बहुत सिंपल है बेटा, इट इज नथिंग स्पेशल, ओनली द नोमेनक्लेचर इज डिफरेंट. थ्रूपुट का मतलब कंट्रीब्यूशन है, बॉटलनेक का मतलब की फैक्टर है बेटा. जहां पे भी आपको कंफ्यूजन हो रहा होगा ना, यू आर यूजिंग द टेक्निकल वर्ड, जस्ट स्टार्ट यूजिंग द सिंपल टर्मिनोलॉजी. कंट्रीब्यूशन पर की फैक्टर, you will find it very simple beta. There is nothing special, trust me. It's very simple throughput accounting ratio. Just you have to put the figures in the formula and you will get the answer. Okay बेटा, clear है ये वाला point? चलिए बेटा, अब for today we are winding up the session right now. Because in the remaining 10 to 15 minutes, we cannot cover any new topic in this TOC. A very important topic is left in this particular topic TOC. If there are 2 or more bottleneck, then how to identify the constraint, how to exploit that constraint so that production can be increased. And once the constraint becomes non-bottleneck, please listen the word carefully. When there are 2 or more bottleneck, then definitely we should identify the constraint. We should first focus on constraint. Now important point, once constraint become non-bottleneck, then we have to focus on the next bottleneck factor. So that's a very special part of this concept, theory of constraint. We will cover in 27th of October the session. Okay, so till now beta, Enjoy the vacation, enjoy the festival of India, Diwali festival. So in advance, I wish each and everyone a very, very happy and prosperous Diwali. Thank you for watching the session, beta. Have a great festival days ahead. Thank you. Technical team, please end the session. बॉटलनेक मिनट पर बॉटलनेक मिनट कुछ भी नहीं है बेटा. बॉटलनेक का मतलब होता है की फैक्टर. सो हर एक यूनिट पर इन प्रोडक्ट ए यू आर अर्निंग अ कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ ₹8 per unit, while it takes 2 kgs to manufacture product A. So how many rupees you are earning by contributing 1 kg of raw material is ₹4. Very simple beta. Okay Rahul, understood beta? What is bottleneck minute? क्लियर है. ₹8 पर यूनिट आपका कंट्रीब्यूशन है प्रोडक्ट ए में, एंड प्रोडक्ट ए रिक्वायर्ड 2 kg of raw material. For how much you are earning by contributing 1 kg of raw material? ₹4. So that is contribution per bottle. No beta, phone units will be same beta, because all the denomination will be, all the bottleneck will be expressed in the same denomination, then only the calculation can be done. Chili beta. Okay, goodbye. Thank you for watching the session beta. Enjoy the festival.